It's time to go live. Whoa, the explosion continues here. It's Women in Leadership Scholarship winner. Here she is, the one and only. Justine is in the house live from Cincinnati.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So I got to ask you, when's the last time you had some Skyline chili?
Last weekend.
Okay,
it's a regular in my household.
Before we start, explain to me what Skyline chili is. Is there cinnamon in this?
There is cinnamon. There's a little bit of chocolate. It is the best chili of all time, but I think if you're a traditional chili eater, you will be a little bit shocked by the taste because it's very sweet. But actually the newest claim to fame in Cincinnati is now we have a Skyline in our airport. So you can actually get Skyline for breakfast before you go and take your flight. So highly recommended the breakfast chilito.
That sounds good. I've never been to Cincinnati Airport either. So being from Pittsburgh, we just fly over it.
Yeah, no, definitely recommend. We're not a big in-between port, but we've got a great food court. So
I'll have to check it out sometime. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on. Are you excited and ready to rock and roll with this?
I am. Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
All right, so let's dive into the journey. We're not going to even waste any time here. So just break it down from, you graduating from the University of Miami, which Ohio, we're going to say it like that. Who's our famous player from Ohio there? Go for it.
Ben Roethlisberger is our famous player, yes.
How many times do you hear that when you went to school there?
Not that much, mainly because I wouldn't say we were like a big football school. Most people were at the bar during the games. So not a big football school, but a little bit every once in a while.
Well, football and beer goes together. You know that, right?
It does. But I wouldn't say that our fan base was that dedicated to our football team. They mainly were watching Ohio State. So
the
Buckeyes. Kind of the vibe at Miami.
There we go. All right, we'll leave it at that. Okay, so let's just deep dive into that. So you get your degree in, I believe, what, marketing and is it psychology or?
Actually, what's interesting is I did not study marketing in college. So I went to Miami because for a couple of reasons. Number one, I knew how good of a school it was. But then number two, I really wanted to skate on their synchronized ice skating team, which they're national champions, world silver medalists. So very well-renowned synchronized ice skating team. And I chose my family major, which is psychology. That's what everyone in my family majored in, was psychology. And then 1 or 2 years into my schooling, I realized I did not want to do what a lot of people did with a psychology degree. So I added on professional writing as a double major. And then I added on interactive media studies as a minor. So I like to say that I kind of created my own version of a marketing degree by nature of psychology, professional writing, and interactive media studies.
Look at you. Okay, so when you get out of school, where did you go from there? I mean, you know how it is. You graduate. Did you already have a job lined up?
I was really lucky. Yeah, I went to our career fair, and transparently, I was pretty open-minded about what sort of opportunities I was looking for. And luckily, I actually connected with a Miami grad who owned the digital marketing agency, and felt really connected to the mission and the culture out the gate, and dove right in as a digital content specialist for my first job.
Look at that. Okay, so give me the breakdown. What did you think of that first job?
I am so thankful that was the first opportunity that I had for a couple of reasons. Number one, it was a startup. And for those of you who have worked at startups before, you naturally just wear a lot of hats and learn so much all the time. And I feel like I really thrived in that environment of feeling super close to not just the work that I was doing, but also the end result, which was our, client success. And so, yeah, I think that was a huge part of my now current perspective on business. And then I think also the fact that it was a digital marketing agency, I think starting my career really focused on search engine optimization and paid media performance has really shaped my perspective on marketing out the gate. So Yes, very lucky to have had that first opportunity.
What do you think of the change in digital marketing from the beginning to now? I mean,
I think that's the most important thing as a marketer and in a lot of professions, but I think especially marketing is, it's always changing. It's definitely changed a lot in the, 10, 11 years I've been in the marketing industry. But I think you can't take your eye off the ball, right? I mean, right now, even a big thing that we're trying to understand is it's not just search engine optimization anymore. We have to consider how are people using generative AI to support their searches. Are they making purchase decisions based off of Chat GPT? Are they using that for knowledge and then still going to Google for the path? So it's constantly changing. And that's like a big reason why I really like it, is because I think I'm just constantly learning.
it is. It's almost like the emotional selling now. You have to tap into somebody's emotions now on social media. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's always been like that. I just think that, when it was a lot less crowded of an environment, maybe 10 years ago, you didn't have to be as good as you have to be now.
Okay, so you did the startup, and then you know how startups are. I always say I've worked with a startup before too. Yeah, that's a lot of how do I say twisting and turns to find out where you want to go.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think I learned a crash course. I didn't go to business school, but I felt like I had a crash course on how businesses run, what's important. I learned a lot at that time too, in terms of, I feel like I had a first seat ride on, the challenge of scaling sales. So even though I was in a marketing function, I feel like I witnessed that is such a challenge with professional services, right? It's you're so reliant on maybe one person who's just naturally very skilled, and that's a really hard thing to scale, especially in more of a small company environment. So I definitely got a crash course on not just kind of how businesses function, but also just a lot of challenges with sales, which is really important as a marketer to kind of have that empathy always.
What did you think of that? I mean, looking back now at that job, I mean, was it a little chaotic? Was it like, I mean, when you look back at it now, what do you say?
I describe it like summer camp, honestly. The reason why is because it was a lot of us were the same age. We were all, 22, 23, fresh out of college. I feel like we kind of just, I don't want to say we had a lot of freedom, which meant that we were able to learn by doing in a very supportive environment. So I do feel like it was a very unique place to kind of have my career start, for sure. But that's why I describe it like summer camp.
Summer camp. Let's go back one more day. So what made you after that? What happened? Did it go under, or did you decide it was time for you to move on?
No, I mean, I career-wise am very driven by, am I learning? Am I growing? And after about 3.5 years there, just was recognizing that hey, I feel like I've learned, there's always more to be learned, but I've learned at the rate I'm learning the most I can right now. And I need to kind of take my experience elsewhere. I'm a really big believer in, analogical thinking, in the sense that I think you get a lot of growth by nature of having an understanding in one context and challenging your brain to apply it within a different context. And so that's really what I did, right? So I found an opportunity to work at an innovation and growth strategy startup, and kind of took what I understood about professional services for digital marketing and applied it to a different client base and different subject matter. And in doing that, I was able to strengthen myself not only as a marketer, but also as a business leader.
Look at you, rocking and rolling. So one more thing on the startups, because I'm always curious about this. Give me a story. Is there a story you can give us that you said people can say, wow? I mean, come on, there's got to be stories.
Oh man. I mean, I guess a couple of quirks that I feel like you might categorize as, typical startups. At the first company I worked at, we had it beer 30 every Friday. So every Friday at 3:30. And, the busier we were, we just would have kind of a beer at our desk, but that was kind of a common trait of a startup. But yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't necessarily say a story, but I think that you you work really, really hard and you're working like long hours, and I think with that, you kind of are very much bonded with the people that you're working with. So I'm still like best friends with a lot of people that I work with at that first company. So yeah, not necessarily maybe the story you're looking for, but that's kind of what was top of mind for me.
So then you go into that. So then you take your next job. And then when did you really come to the part where it's like, you know what, I'm going to maybe tie into the staffing recruiting industry?
Yeah, really great question. So I really wasn't necessarily looking to get into staffing. I more was seeking out a great company to work for in Cincinnati. And at the time, I'd spent, 6.5 years working for startups. And I knew that my next amount of growth was going to come from being in a professional services environment, but likely in more of a medium to large size company.
Yeah.
I'd learned about Health Carousel actually because I'd met their CEO at a marketing happy hour a couple years prior. And so I kind of always had Health Carousel on the radar. And then August 2020, an opportunity came up, and I reached out to the recruiter, and here I am.
Look at that little networking, like always happens that way.
Yes. I mean, I so far have landed all of my opportunities from getting to know people, having a good understanding of the industry, and having a good understanding of where are really great places to work and great people to work with. And that's always kind of how I found all my opportunities.
So you don't even need a resume anymore, right? You just
No, I still need a resume. You still need a resume, but I do think relationships are absolutely key. And then having a really good sense of exactly what's the right fit for you as well.
You know what's funny is you say relationships, and I'm a firm believer. It's like when you have a relationship with somebody and you don't even ask for anything. You know what I mean? You're just building a bond, or like a brother or sister. And then when you do need something, you can ask maybe 2 years, 3 years down the road. You know what I mean? So I think that's what relationships building is about. It's not like when you need a job, you're like, hey, Joe, can you find me a job today? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you haven't talked to me in 3 years, but now you're asking for it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I learned that a lot, especially when volunteering for the American Marketing Association. So obviously I'm here today because I've been lucky enough to win the American Staffing Association scholarship, but I've spent a lot of my career volunteering for the American Marketing Association. And that community is really such a tight-knit community. And it really is exactly that, right? Like you're building relationships with people in marketing, and that whenever there's an opportunity or an instance where you need support, you just have that army ready to go out and support you. So that's I'm very lucky to have built that in Cincinnati and beyond from my experiences with that.
I know, and you were like the president for a while, weren't you?
I was the president. Yes.
Come on, let's brag about that.
President.
You go, girl.
I was the president during the pandemic.
So okay. So we got to talk about this.
Oh yeah.
What went on during this time? Because this was like chaos across the whole world. But meanwhile, you're president of a marketing association. So what's happening?
I will forever have this memory of, it's March, we're starting to hear news of that, that curve. And we had a speaker scheduled to come in from Colorado that week, like that Thursday. And I'll never forget, I'm in this conference room at my office, and I'm on the phone with the speaker on Monday, and he's like, it's going to be fine. I'll be there. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
By Wednesday, he was like, hey, I don't think I should come. So literally a day pivot. We pivoted all of our programming from in-person to virtual. Meanwhile, doing my job, it was a wild time. Like, I think the reason I'll never forget it is because, and I'm sure a lot of other people that are listening to this have had this sort of moment too. It was just that crazy moment of realizing like, wow, like everything is changing right now, and I have to get to the grocery store. So it was just a very
and buy toilet paper, right? Toilet paper.
And will I find toilet paper? Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it was an interesting time because at that time too, we had a lot in our bylaws related to like in-person meeting requirements, and we really quickly had to pivot to meeting virtually, just like everyone did. So I was managing that both in my, individual job at the time, but also across leading a volunteer base. So honestly, it was one of the most like challenging, but also like rewarding experiences I've had in my career for sure, was leading that volunteer organization during that time.
I mean, I know you guys did a pivot there, but how did the organization accept that? I mean, the virtual, did you think it was very beneficial? I mean, because I'm going to lie, during the COVID, I think of one thing, Tiger King. Everybody just watched Tiger King over and over again. Am I right? I mean, I was one of them Tiger King yuppies that watched it like, really? But I mean, how did your organization like manage that? I mean, did a lot of people drop off or did they stay, consistent?
Yeah, I think that especially in the beginning, people were really yearning for connection. And that's ultimately what we provided by way of our virtual communities and virtual content. But I think the challenge that I'm sure everyone had that was kind of filling that same void is, there is a decent amount of digital fatigue. And so I think that knowing kind of when to transition back to in-person programming was something that we had to figure out. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there was a lot of drop off, mainly because so many people at the time were by themselves, feeling isolated, and still wanted that marketing connection. The other thing to recall is at that time, a lot of people were losing their jobs as well. So that's really where a lot of people lean on these sort of professional organizations, is having those opportunities to meet people. And so people had to do that, virtually. So I think we actually served a pretty big value for the community during that time.
So, okay, Justine, you did this as a president, but then you had a full-time job too.
I did have a full-time
job.
You
have a lot of coffee in you, like drinking all day and working 24 hours a day?
I love coffee. I love it so much.
Yes.
I've been drinking coffee since I was like 13 years old.
Okay, so I love coffee too. The only thing it does is stains your teeth, though. You got to keep cleaning them.
Stain your teeth. Yes.
But you know what? There's a lot of whiteners now and all that good stuff to take care of that. Yeah, but okay, fine. So coffee. We got to break this down right now. Now you're talking to my love language, coffee. So, give me your favorite kind of coffee.
I'm a traditionalist. I am honestly just happy with a good cup at home with 2% milk. So, I mean, I usually like to make it with, I usually grind the beans fresh in the morning. But I'm not a coffee snob. I'm a coffee lover. So there's some things that I'm not as picky about as other people. Are you a coffee snob? Or are you just a coffee appreciator?
I'm kind of both. I'm going to be honest with you. My coffee's straight black. I do pour over every day for the last 2 years. I have videos on TikTok. I pour, the kettle's going whistling and the pour over. I'm grinding my beans every morning. And I got to tell you what, that first smell, it's like, if you don't go, ooh, ah, you're like, oh, I mean, isn't that smell so amazing?
It is so amazing. Honestly, no, it's actually been great. My husband's been making it at night. And then I wake up in the morning and I open my bedroom door and I smell the coffee throughout the whole house. It's honestly the best thing ever.
So you're not doing K-cups, right?
No K-cups. No.
Thank you. No That's not coffee, by the way.
No. Well, honestly, the biggest faux pas in my experience too is when I would come home to my parents' house. My parents live in Dayton, about an hour from Cincinnati. My dad would try to trick me with half calf. What? Have you ever been tricked with a half calf? Yeah. So I would have a cup of half calf and I'm like, why do I feel not like a full human? And it's because he tricked me with the half calf. So I think that's also a big faux pas, not just K-cups, but tricking people at the caffeine level. You have to stay honest with that.
Oh, you got to be strong. I don't know about you, but I can drink coffee at nighttime. It doesn't really affect me. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I think I'm hyped up no matter what, but I just love the taste. I had 3 cups already today. I mean, it's so good. It's like, but then you start feeling in your stomach where you're like, I need to slow down a little bit, or your heart starts racing. You're like, okay.
I've tapered myself over the years. I would say, like I started drinking when I was 13, and that was probably like a 2 to 3 cup a day time. And then through college, you just drink it like water, obviously. And same, I feel like through the early part of my career. Now I've tapered myself. I'm more of a 1 to 2 cup person now, which it's more just because I'm trying to, live as healthy as I possibly can.
But you know what? Coffee's actually good for you. There is actually nutrients in coffee. I mean, for collective thinking and all that stuff. I mean, it's.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's more definitely as I've gotten older, I've noticed it started to impact more of like my like jitteriness, and I definitely have had a harder time sleeping. So I'm proud of you that you can drink it all day and not be affected. I'm not in that mode anymore, but I very much make sure that first cup is like a good experience because it might be my only one that day.
Okay, so Justine, I think we need to do a poll on LinkedIn and see how many people drink coffee every morning. recruiters
yeah.
in the staffing industry. I would say it's going to be about 90%. Do you agree?
I don't know. There's some people who secretly have Mountain Dew first thing in the morning, and I just shake my head.
Ooh.
I know.
Ah,
I know.
Mountain
I know.
Dew of all things.
I know. It happens though. People do it.
Come on, if you're gonna drink Mountain Dew, drink Mellow Yellow. I'm just joking. The knockoff. Whatever is that coffee tangent. So my goodness, sometime we'll definitely have a podcast just talking about coffee because I can
would
go
love
on
that.
and on.
Love that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, we both are caffeined up today and we're ready to rock and roll. So, okay, so let's go COVID, working full time during COVID. Explaining that to me, like, especially you on the marketing side. I mean, companies are shutting down, businesses are slowing down. How do you pivot on that? What did you do?
Yeah. So at the time, for, part of my career during COVID, I was at the innovation and growth strategy firm. And, that from a sales perspective, it was really driven by in-person relationship building. So a big part of our strategy was events. And that obviously had to change rather quickly. And then even our core business model was in-person engagements. And so we very quickly had to, number one, as a business model, our team is making sure we could deliver our work virtually. And then from a marketing perspective, even similar to what I was sharing about the AMA, we very quickly had to kind of figure out, well, how are we building connection and how are we trying to open up those relationships digitally? So we did some virtual content. It was the challenge was, I think we'd cultivated such a really great community kind of built on storytelling that then enabled great relationship building from there.
Mm-hmm.
And it just took us a minute to figure out kind of how do we still do that virtually in a way that's opening up great sales conversations. So I wouldn't say we got it right immediately. I don't know a lot of people who did, but
nobody ever does.
I think test and learn is the most important thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we tested, we learned, we figured out what worked, what didn't, had to figure out what our customers' needs were, what they weren't anymore, and just tried to kind of stay focused on what counts.
Trial by error. There it is right there.
1,000%.
Woo woo. Okay, so you're working here, and did you in staffing? Is this the first company you worked with in staffing? Was Next Staff?
Yes, yeah. So I transitioned to healthcare sell in August 2020. So I spent kind of those first couple months of the pandemic at the innovation and growth strategy firm, and then pivoted to healthcare sell.
Nice. I got to tell you, what do you think of the staffing recruiting industry? Just give it to me.
I mean, it's very unique compared to other professional services industries I've worked in. It's unique for a couple of reasons. I do think that there are some challenges that exist in this industry that I haven't seen in others. I think the challenge, there's always the challenge of matching the customer with the exact need they have, but I feel like that's so much more challenging in staffing because everyone's personal preferences around the job and what specifically they're doing, like that's their life, like that's their livelihood. So I just think there's so much to unpack there in terms of how that just makes it a lot more challenging as an industry because it's so personal. It's so personal.
Big time on both ends. The job, it's personal on everybody's end.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I think I was really lucky because I started off supporting our locum tenens business. Are you aware of what locum tenens is?
No, give it to me.
So locum tenens is temporary physician jobs.
Okay.
So I don't know if you knew this, but we have a pretty big physician and just healthcare professional shortage. And especially with physicians, actually. So it's very possible that, doctors that you're seeing for things like gastroenterology or radiology, they actually might be a temporary doctor. They're maybe just there on a contract for 6 months because a lot of facilities aren't able to keep those sort of people, or there's just not enough to go around.
I didn't know that. So you
kind of have to be, yes. So that was, I think it's interesting because as a consumer of healthcare myself, I'm learning all these things and I'm like, oh, this is a that's a little scary. We need more healthcare providers.
We do, because last week I had nurses week, and there's a shortage on nurses too, of course. So I didn't know
There
it.
is a nursing shortage.
So it's a
Yes.
trickle down of the whole healthcare system, sounds like.
Yes, absolutely. And so, I mean, that's a big value, obviously, of temporary staffing is that, you're able to supplement as needed. So for example, if, I think a great example of like locum tenens and the value it provides is like, let's say a facility is even trying to figure out, like, should they expand their gastroenterology unit? Is there enough demand in your community? You can hire temporary staff for a time being to kind of validate whether or not that makes sense and then kind of hire full time. But there's a lot of communities that just aren't able to hire the right people for the demand in that area. So a lot of it is really just serving those sort of, rural, underserved needs as much as possible. So I was very lucky to kind of learn staffing through that perspective. And then I've been really lucky at Healthcare Cell to learn more about the travel nursing side and the international staffing side as well.
I know. I will say one thing: traveling nursing, most people love it. They love the paycheck, but they love the experience too, because you're bouncing around different places, which is kind of cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think it's evolved over the past couple of years. I think during the pandemic, there was just such a demand for nurses, and it gave people lots of opportunities to earn, pay off their student loans, like when, and also, help people who really needed it in a lot of different areas. But now that the market's kind of more normalized, it really is going back to those people who like travel nursing for the lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just people who are young and wanting to travel everywhere, right? We have a lot of nurses that actually are interested in having more of a retirement approach. Maybe they want to take a contract half the year, and for part of the year they want to live near their grandkids, and part of the year they want to live somewhere warm, so it's a really great way to kind of structure your lifestyle. I feel like I should have been a nurse.
Well, which is great is once you get tired of the grandkids, you just say, well, the excuse is I got to go.
Yeah. I'm tired of you. I'm going to go to Connecticut. Sorry, kids. I had to.
Or it worked before the kids, Meanwhile, they're like, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we work with nurses of, all kinds. It's not just that nomad that I think everyone kind of thinks about with travel nursing.
What's funny is in last week, Justine, I learned a lot about nursing. There's so many of all professions. There's so many avenues you can take. There's virtual nursing now. I didn't even know about that. It's like big.
No, that's a lot of where we're focused, is making sure that, nurses realize that, they know this, but I think there is so much opportunity for them to keep growing their career. And a lot of that is by nature of, specialty growth. A lot of people want to have different specialties they're practicing. But also, you could be growing your career by working in different settings, doing travel, doing per diem. So there's really a lot of opportunities available to them. Absolutely.
100%. So anybody out there, get into nursing.
Yeah.
Yes. Keep a job somewhere.
Yes. We were talking about that the other day. We're like, everyone who's in college right now just needs to become a nurse.
You will always have a job.
You will always have a job. Absolutely.
AI is not going to replace a nurse. Bottom line.
It's so funny that you say that. My husband and I are watching The Pit. Have you watched The Pit?
No. What's on?
Oh my gosh. It's on HBO, and it's set in Pittsburgh. So you need to watch The Pit.
You know what? Okay. I've never seen it. I've seen like previews to it. Okay. I'm going to watch it and give you some details in the next couple of weeks.
It's really, so long story short, it's like a 24 hours in an ER. And I've watched a ton of medical shows, but it was my husband's first time watching something like that. And he was like shocked by the amount of humans that were needed to be supporting patients. He was like, is none of this semi-automated? Like, where's the technology? And I'm like, if you have to, it's human to human. There's so much variability, the ability to kind of have that sort of technology to, make it more efficient. It's going to be a lot more challenging. And you need people for people. Yeah. So he was shocked. I was like, yeah, this is why we have a healthcare shortage. We have a lot of people who need it, and we need bodies. So we need very skilled. I
do not want a robotic nurse walking into my bedside and saying, okay.
No, absolutely not.
Like the Terminator says, okay, Here you go. Here's your injection. That would be freaking scary.
Well, you even think about the experience of just trying to get like in contact with your physician or nurse right
Let's
now, right?
not even go there. That's, I mean,
I know we could talk
I
about
have
that for
the
a
app
while,
on
but
my
I think
phone. That's the easiest thing to like, send somebody something on the app.
yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity for, you know, AI on those sort of elements just to improve the customer experience before you're even visiting your healthcare provider. But there's a lot of opportunity there. But I think the actual inpatient experience, people want that in person. People need those sort of questions answered and want that in person experience.
They do. You just have to wait 6 months to get an appointment.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's go into the fun part here. So what made you apply for this, scholarship, or did somebody, tell you, hey, you apply for it? Did you do it on your own, or did you?
My boss Brian reached out to me along with Sarah, our director of people and culture, and they said, hey, you should apply for this. And number one, I was really just grateful that they were even kind of looking out for those sort of opportunities for me. But also it's kind of interesting. You kind of immediately have a little bit of imposter syndrome in terms of like, who, me? Like me? You think I should do this?
You talking to me?
Yeah. Are you talking to me? So but I take every opportunity. So I applied.
Okay, you applied. What was your feeling when you applied? I mean, did you think it was a long shot, or do you have this swag where you're like, I'm gonna get this award? I mean, what was your thinking?
I definitely didn't have a swag of getting the award. I was proud of myself for applying altogether. I think you'll hear this from a lot of the winners. We reflected on this a lot. Just putting together the application is an accomplishment. It really requires a lot of self-reflection and critical thinking. And I was just really proud of the thoughts that I had put down on paper to submit for the scholarship. So whether or not I'd won, I was like, this feels good. I've got some good ideas. So
how long did it take you to fill out? I didn't even ask.
I took an iterative approach. So I probably over the course of a couple weeks spent maybe like 3 to 4 hours on it. So I would work on it for a little bit and then I would come back to it just to make sure that I was really pushing myself to kind of get everything out there.
Gotcha. Okay. And then you got an email, down the road?
I did get an email on a Friday. And
Friday. I love it. Like right before the weekend.
Yeah. Well, and I work remote on Fridays. We're mostly in person, but so I was by myself and I get this email and it was such a lift to my week. I won't go into detail, but just I was last year was a very challenging year for me personally. And I feel like applying for this scholarship and then being awarded it, just even those experiences, it was such a good confidence boost.
Good for
when
you.
I really needed it. So, yeah.
God, that's so heart filling there. I love that. So you get this email and it's and you're all excited. So I got to ask you, did you and your husband go out for a drink that night, or did you, how'd you feel?
We did. Yes.
I knew
we did go out and celebrate. Yeah, it was, I don't remember where exactly we went, but I know we went out to celebrate. But yeah, it was a very, I think there's not a lot of moments, later, when you're growing up, I feel like you get all these sort of, awards and opportunities, but as you get older, I feel like they're far and fewer between. So we definitely made sure to celebrate. So.
And here you guys are when it showed up there. Look at that. Ooh. Got to be proud of that, seriously, you do, So, okay. So, and then naturally you show up at Staffing World, right? After that.
Yes. Thrive and Staffing World was such a crash course. I personally was just so excited to meet more people in the industry because, I started in staffing remote, and all I knew were people at Health Carousel, and I really thrive with that aspect of community building. And so I was so fortunate to have gone to the conference, not just to go, but to go with this recognition, because everyone was so welcoming. Everyone was so congratulatory. And I felt like I just got to meet so many amazing people. So it was such a rewarding experience.
Was that your first Staffing World to go to?
It was. Yes.
Give me your take on it. Before you got there and what you think afterwards, because I've been there 10 times. I mean, I love it.
I think the interesting part is that there is such a stark contrast from Thrive to Staffing Worlds. So Thrive as a conference, it's really focused on kind of connection building and community building, and then and it's very, everyone's so welcoming. And not that Staffing World isn't, but Staffing World, you're just like, it's just go, go, go. Like there's so much
It's
content,
real
there's so
big.
much
You're right.
information. Yeah. So I think, but yeah, I mean, it was lots of information. But luckily I had my core group of scholarship winners. We were kind of keeping in contact with one another in terms of key learnings. We've shared notes with one another. So lots of good learnings that we were able to share back and forth with one another.
And look at that. There you guys are rocking and rolling.
Yes.
What's your feeling on the stage when you went up on the stage? Because I know, I mean, you're getting up there. You don't realize it's all happening at once. I mean, did you have was it like a blur, or can you remember the vibe?
Oh, I remember the vibe. And it was, I mean, I was surprised how, emotional it was. I think, once again, there's not a lot of moments in your career where you have a moment to kind of take a step back and be like, hey, I'm doing okay so far. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like it was kind of one of those moments where I just took a moment to be really proud of myself and proud of the other women up there with me, and just kind of let it really sink in. So definitely a good moment to kind of reset and recharge and keep on hustling.
You know what I love about this? Every time they have the scholarship winners, every year it's like, you guys are like a sorority, like your sisters for life. It's like, there's 7 of you this time. It's just how you bonded together. And every year that group just bonds. Like, you guys are friends for life. And hopefully maybe you'll be doing a Cancun trip down the road together and all that good stuff too.
Oh, I hope so. That'd be awesome. Yeah, no, that is probably the biggest, I don't want to say surprise for me, but when they said kind of how life-changing this scholarship was, I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. But just the part of having that kind of core group of women that, we've known each other for less than a year, but I feel like we know each other so well and just support each other in all the ups and downs. And yeah, I just am so thankful for that. So they're all such strong, amazing women. I just feel so lucky to be a part of it.
Look at the smiles. You guys were like just a full ball of joy.
It was so fun. That was such a fun experience. Yeah. I mean, it'll never happen again. It was just, I can't describe it. It was a great experience.
And correct me or not, you have not met any of them before till Staffing World and Thrive, mm-hmm. right?
Yes, exactly.
Do you guys stay in touch?
Yes, we have a text group. We've been texting a lot about this podcast.
I hope you're talking about good things about the shark.
Yes, good things about the shark. But yeah, there's not a week that goes by where we don't have a text exchange. We meet bi-weekly. We're always sharing when something exciting happened or a challenge is happening. So we're always in each other's corners.
I got to tell you, just being on the thread the last month, you guys are so much fun. I mean, you got your pictures over everything that I asked for, me and Kendra, you were like right on it. It was great, but it's fun too. We can laugh, we can joke, and it's not like we have to be serious all the time.
No, we definitely, I think we actually reflected a lot on that, about how we felt like we represented, even generationally, just obviously like very strong professional women, but also we're our authentic selves. So we definitely were not afraid at the conference or even now to just, have fun and be ourselves. And I think that's a really important balance to strike as a leader. And I think all of us really modeled that.
100%. And before we wrap things up, we're going to talk about your topic here, because I asked everybody, Kendra did, to put a topic. So give it to me. Why did you put down, what comes first, chicken or egg, in staffing the job, or, the candidate? Go for it.
Yeah, I was reflecting a lot on just my experience supporting staffing from a marketing function so far. And this has just been the question that I've always asked myself. And I think a lot of other marketers do, which is, how is it more important to have a pipeline of candidates arbitrarily, or is it more important to have that job in which to try to seek out a strong candidate base? And I share it because I'd love, if other marketers have had this challenge and are experiencing it, would love to hear kind of how you guys have solved that. But I think with staffing, it's such a challenge because when you have a job opportunity, you have to fill it very quickly. But it's really difficult to kind of develop relationships and develop a strong pipeline if you don't also have a strong pipeline of job opportunities. So I just think it's the constant challenge of marketing and staffing is, what's the right balance of having a strong pipeline when you may or may not have the job available for them in the future. So yeah, would love if any marketers are listening, if you have thoughts on that challenge and have you overcome it, I'd love to hear it.
I think I have the challenge. You ready for this? So what I do,
Let's
everybody
hear it.
gets hired by me, is my Facebook friend. Everyone. So 1,500 people in the last 4 years have
Wow.
been my Facebook friend. So anytime they lose their job or drop off, or I didn't hire them, they keep coming back. Is that amazing? It's like, seriously. So I use my personal Facebook as my, because nothing's personal in my life. I'm out there for everything. So I say,
Yeah.
that is a key. If you can do that, that's my secret right there. Facebook is my database of peeps.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And they love it. I mean, Christmas time, guess what? I'm tapping into their family too, Justine. Is that crazy? So then their uncle, their aunts are like, hey, Short said happy Christmas or Merry Christmas or whatever like that. Guess what? All their aunts and uncles, hey, I need a job in engineering. It's like they're recruiting for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's something to that, right? I mean, I think that marketing and sales, it's all about relationship building. And a lot of that relationship building, it can't just be surface level in terms of here I am, this is what I do. So I think that's awesome that you've kind of expanded how you're connecting with people beyond just, your professional profile. So that's great.
I think the best way is just be different, be you, just be
Oh,
you.
yeah. Absolutely.
Whatever flows, like I think in staffing, we can wrap it up like this is there's no right or wrong way. You just got to do it.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think to my point earlier as well, you have to test and learn. You can't just throw spaghetti at the wall, but you have to kind of see what's working and what's not and kind of trying new things. So that's a lot of what we're doing over here.
All right. We got some shout outs here. Look at this. LinkedIn user. We don't know who it is, but
well, thank you, LinkedIn user.
Okay. And then we got some shout outs from your girls.
Coffee good.
It always comes back to coffee. The whole presentation, our whole chat is going to be about coffee, right? That's what people remember. How would I know it? Oh my goodness. So, okay, to wrap things up here, any final thoughts you want to give anybody out there? It's going to probably I always say this, if there's women on the fence, should they apply for next year to be a scholarship? Can you give them any advice to do it, or what's your take on everything?
Yeah, I mean, my take, as I think I've said a couple of times, take every opportunity. And I just think that this is such a great opportunity, even by nature of applying. You are able to kind of take a step back and reflect on your accomplishments and thoughts and feelings. And that alone is such an important thing to do. So I would say go for it. I think you don't really have much to lose, honestly. So if you're thinking about it, I would say go after it. And I know you're talking with Brandy later. She's amazing. She applied multiple times. And so I think that a lot of times, if you don't get it the first time around and you really think it's going to be a great part of your experience, you should just keep going after it. So yeah, highly encourage anyone who's thinking about it just to go ahead and do it. It'll be a really great experience, regardless if you win or not.
Justine, thank you so much for coming on. I had a blast. Do you have fun?
Too. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so before we go, I am actually from Pittsburgh, but I'm going to have to say this. Is this what the Bengals call Who Day? Who Day?
Oh, yeah.
Am I doing it right?
Yeah, Who Day. Mm-hmm.
All right, on 3. You ready to do Who Day together?
Yeah, well, so you guys say Who Day? Who Day? Who Day think they beat them Bengals? You ready?
Oh, I'm not doing that last part. Not last part. I'll do Who Day, Who Day, Who Day, and then you can do the rest, all right?
All right, perfect.
There's no way as a Steeler fan I would ever do that part. You ready?
All right, let's do it.
1, 2, 3. Who Day?
Who Day?
Who Day?
Who Day?
Who Day?
Who Day think they beat them Bengals?
There it is, right there, live from Cincinnati. Hey, Justine, thank you so much there. Hey, we'll see you all in a couple of hours with another great guest. Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.